Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the RGR Football Channel. This is Daniel Harms, film analyst, and today, before we get started, I want to let you know that I do have a little bit of a cold. So if I sniffle and I give you a little bit of time to breathe, things like that, I do apologize. It's just kind of that time of year. But this is a Film Room Wednesday, and I got a great one for you. Boye Mafe out of Minnesota, definitely one of those guys you want to get in on. Okay, he does have some length issues. Okay, I think that he's probably not a first round projection just yet. He's got what, 32 and a quarter inch arms, something like that. So when we're projecting to the Chiefs, I think that's something you have to take into account. But if you look at what Melvin Ingram just did the last 6, 7 games for the Chiefs, he was an impact player, and he does have shorter arms than Spags typically likes. So when we evaluate the position, I think it's important to note that typical Spags types of defensive ends are bigger. So he fits that mold. He's about 6'3" or 6'2", 6'3", and he's 261, 264, something like that. So he has the size there for you. The length is a bit of a problem for what they're projecting, but I do think they may be willing to look past some of those red flags that would typically show up for a guy who has the burst, the speed, and the tools that he has. So is it possible that he's the pick at 30? We're going to find out with this film review, so let's go ahead and jump in. When you watch Mafe play, he typically lines up as a more of a 3-4 outside linebacker type, but in these condensed formations, when you have wide receivers on the outside and then your tight end, he typically lines up over the tight end. Okay, this is typically where he is. That's not a problem. The problem for me typically comes because he's always in a 2-point stance. Okay, I'd like to see him out more of a 3-point stance and get more explosion. I think he does have an excellent first step. His combine showed that he has an elite first step for a defensive end, but this isn't bad against the run. It's a coiled 2-point stance and it allows him to really get into the tight end. The one thing that I noted on his tape is that he doesn't play up against tackles a whole lot in the run game. He was more of a, let's say, I won't say like two-way player, but he played a lot of rotation. So they did a lot of differing things with him at Minnesota that took him off the field at times in specific run situations. So that is a little bit of a concern. But I think he still has more than enough power to set the edge. And when you watch what he does at the engage point right here, so he's coiled, we have engage right here, okay? So this is everything you're looking for. You have hands extending, eyes on the football, okay? He's in control of this. He knows the running back can't get into this gap, okay? He's condensed it, so he can't get there. So when the running back cuts, he disengages and makes the tackle, okay? It's a good rep. Yes, it's against a tight end, and it also, it doesn't display what he can do, but you do see the power. You see some of the movement, be able to take over a rep like that is still indicative of the power that he possesses as a defensive end, a guy who's primarily more of a speed guy, but has some power to him. Now you see him down here over against the tackle. Kind of skip through to actually get to the rep here. A lot of tools, okay? I said that off the top. He is a toolsy guy. Typically on his tape, what you're going to see is more of the speed rush variety. You're going to see some of the slaps, the swipes, the swims, things like that. But littered in his tape, you have some of the speed to power, some of the power moves, and we're going to get to those a little bit later. But this really is his bread and butter, is that swipe to get upfield. It can be a detriment sometimes, but you see how quickly his hands get there. And I liken it to almost what David Ojabo is coming out of Michigan. He has the quickness with his hands, maybe not necessarily the understanding of how to use everything together, but you do see the quickness come out. This is where I'd like to see him be a little bit more explosive. You see, look, the tackle's already out of the stance, but you actually have Mafe in a 3-point stance. He hasn't come off the ball yet. So the tackle gets a jump on him, and he's still able to kind of make his way around the outside. I'd like to see him come much quicker off the ball. So with that ball snapped, he's just now coming up, and it's almost a direct path upward instead of outward. I'd like to see that change a little bit more. But the quickness, the hand usage is all really there from a trait standpoint, a tool standpoint. He has those weapons at his disposal. Once again, he's down here at the bottom of the screen in terms of defensive alignment, a defensive line alignment. Again, more swiping, but this is the kind of thing that you really like to see left on an island with that the right tackle, and he's just able to absolutely take advantage of that. A little bit of that shoulder dip that you see, excuse me, but when we come around, we're going to see the fine points, the swipe, and then the location of that football, the forced fumble, things like that, what you like to see. Again, right here, sets him up, swipe with that right hand, right there. Good location on the tackle's right arm so he can't get inside his chest. That's what you're trying to do, is you swipe those arms away so they can't locate them on your chest. Comes through and around with his left arm, and you're still driving with your feet. Gives a ton of explosion through, and boom, right there. This is where I want to kind of pause really quickly so you can see him locate the football with his hand. It's not like just a random thing too. Like he actually goes for it, and obviously he's looking to wrap up, but this is on purpose. You always reach for that football. As a defensive end, anyone you're going after the quarterback, at the very least, you can get that ball out. And especially on a rainy day like this, you can cause a lot of fumbles. And he was very active against Purdue in this game, and that's just another sign that he's got some real location attributes as well as some length. He looks a lot longer than he is. I think that definitely helps with his gameplay. Not that 32.25-inch arms or whatever it happens to be is a bad thing by any stretch. I think that that's good for him, and I think that he utilizes it well for a guy who's predominantly speed. Here he is again in this lined up more over the tight end like he usually is. Right here. And this is really where I get hesitant with a first-round projection for Mafe. He's got the tools, right? But he has the swipe right there. And then look at this. This is where he gets caught. His pass rush plan needs some work, but this tackle is just in his chest. There's nothing he's doing. He gets kind of stuck with his swipe. He ends up even trying to like push his arms off, but he's not doing anything. The only reason he's able to force this ball away is because Stroud leaves a clean pocket. There's no reason for him to leave here. And I'd like to see a bit more rip right there. So you have the swipe, add a rip to it, and try to corner underneath. Another negative that I am not seeing is a lot of bend. You see, he's not trying to dip that shoulder. He's not really doing much on the outside, on the inside, which can be a problem. But when I'm watching his tape, the tackle here gets deep, okay? Deep. I want to see some counters inside. So you lead him upfield, come back around, okay? You're opening up that tackle, take advantage of it. And again, and instead he gets stuck, and he's fortunate that Stroud leaves to his side because he's fast enough to close that gap too. That's one thing he has closing speed. He has speed to be able to burn all over the field, and Minnesota took advantage of that as well. He's got some athleticism in space. He was dropped into a couple different zones as a defender. He breaks on the ball well. Things I'm not including in this because you shouldn't really be dropping into coverage a lot. We know Spags does that from time to time, but he does have some coverage aspect to him. Again, a good burst off, and then that's kind of the problem with always going upfield, okay? When you're predominantly a speed guy in most of your clips and most of your games, you're stressing the outside shoulder and trying to corner. It makes it much easier for this tackle to, one, predict what you're going to do and get comfortable. Okay, so right here, he's going to get pretty comfortable with the move, even though he still wins right there. He slaps away, but this is what he can't do anything with. Mafe can't get off of that because there's no spin, there's nothing, there's just him going upfield. So the tackle leads his head right into the shoulder pad and then forces Mafe to try to do something else to get off of it. And he doesn't, he gets ridden upfield and just out of danger. The quarterback's out of danger from Mafe. He can't do much to that. It's what you need to be able to prevent. You need to have these counters, these outside-inside moves, or even inside-outside moves with some of your quick feet and action to be able to get underneath that, or your dip. I don't see much dip and explosion underneath around the corner. It's a problem at times. Excuse me. So I think that you need to be able to have all of that. And then hand location. Hand location, hand location, hand location. especially on a rainy day like this, you get your hands on the shoulder pads to try to bench press, they slip off. And especially when, I mean, this is, you don't typically see tackles with the two-hand stab much anymore because it's a little risky. But again, if you have a defensive end whose chest is pretty much available to you at all times, it's a much easier thing to do. And he just does not get off of it well. So again, I'd like to see him counter more inside or locate those hands a little bit more inside of the tackle, and you can definitely start to bench press a little bit easier, especially get off the ball a little bit faster. Just I want to see that get off. For a guy who's got a good 40, a good 10-yard split number, I'd like to see a little bit more of that. But this, if you guys have been watching Boye Mafe, his clips circling, this is the one that gets noticed everywhere. And it's a good attempt at his counter, but it's a little slow. And you're going to see exactly why. It's an excellent move, but he's, one, he's too far away from the quarterback. And two, just a little slow. Right here, here's the swipe, and then the push off. It's a perfect move. The quarterback's in the pocket. He's got some time to throw. I want to see the swipe and push a little faster. Just boom. In terms of execution, all of that can happen with a better first step off the line. Still a little slow, but again, I'm not like trying to nitpick here. It's definitely a good move, and I like to see a use of the counters. The counters is something that you can get more accustomed with, and when you have that ability with your pass rush plan to kind of manipulate it here, and if you have set up the tackle with these outside moves, maybe you try it once in a game, you need to be able to do it a little bit more often, and that's something he's going to get told in the NFL, wherever he ends up going. It's an area of his game that he's got all of it for. Like, he's got speed to power, and you just saw him take his right hand and shove the tackle off because he's off balance. So that's understanding of leverage and understanding of your movements, where you're taking the tackle, and how you can actually move him out of your way. So it's all there. I think it's just a matter of putting it together, maybe working on that first step. If your three-point stance is a way to get that done, which I believe it is for a lot of players, I think he should definitely be doing that more in the NFL, and I think you'll see it unless he goes to a team where he's an outside linebacker. So now you're going to have him up top here. This is the one that really caught my eye, that showed me the speed to power. Look at the frustration on that tackle as he's on the ground. Like, this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Whenever you can see a tackle do what he's about to do, you know you did a good job. He's frustrated. He is mad. He does not like being made a fool of. But when you have what Mafe has, I think he's got, I do think he has almost everything you need to be a successful defensive end in the NFL. This is what I saw. That push pull is so quick and effective that you don't even see him being held. That's what the best pass rushers do. They're excellent at it. And he does a really good job right there of selling it. Excellent.
Daddy, the house broke.
Oh, the house broke? It's okay. Just a little interruption from my daughter. She's just watching Encanto, so she had to tell me that the house broke. No big deal. Mafe, here, the push-pull. Back to it. You want to see right here, stress the edge, okay? He does that. He's still a little high in his stance for my liking, but it's super effective. Almost as if you're playing Pokemon. Super effective. Right there. Just that shadow of a pull. Right there. He's just hanging on. But the push-pull is so quick and effective, and Mafe gets through it so fast. That's the thing. when he puts it all together, uses his speed, his strength, his speed to power, he's almost unblockable. Like he has all of those different tools that everything you need to be a super effective player. That's what it is, and that's what I finally saw at the end against West Virginia, for the last game of his college career. Okay, he's trying to showcase what he can do. This is more of a versatile and a will to not give up on a play. Okay, that's what I liked to see. There is a spin move there. It wasn't very much on his tape at all. Like he doesn't use it as a pass rush tool very often. Not that I saw from the 5 games or 4 or 5 games that I watched, but it's there. Location is location, location. So he sees the running back going outside, and he spins off of the block, and then he goes and makes a play in space. That is beautiful. It's a beautiful example of just how toolsy this guy is. And I do think that he's a better locator of the football than he gets credit for. And one thing that I think that he can do, didn't show a whole lot on tape, is he can set an edge. I think he has the ability to anchor and have all of those tools. But right here, understanding a running back's path, he's like, okay, I see, and he knows he's getting outside. So currently he's inside. Mafe's inside, and he goes outside. That's beautiful execution, understanding, seeing where everything is on the field as it unfolds, as it plays out. This is where the flashes come in. This game showed a ton of flashes. I do believe having the last game of the season up on your plate gives you a little bit of something to prove. This extra lineman brought in for West Virginia. Look at him. Look at him. Like, that's all she wrote. Oh, this is back here a little bit further. I did it a little bit too close to the end of the reel here, but you get a really good sense. He fires off. He's low, like pad level, pad level, pad level, and then he explodes through this guy and just bends him back and makes the play. Okay? That's where I'm getting the sense that he can be a true impact player as a run defender in the NFL. I think he can be. Now, will he be on the team that allows him to be a true kind of hand in the dirt pass rusher? I think in Kansas City he could do that. And I think that the way that they've handled some of their other players, and Mike Dana, who's become a stout run defender, you can unlock some of those things with Mafe. And I do think that he's got all of it. And again, you're seeing just the raw ability there to do that at the goal line. When you know the run's coming, they are trying to blow you off the ball, extends, bends that guy backwards, makes the play. All in all, I think that there's some good to his tape, there's some bad to his tape. There's a reason that Minnesota took him off the field on those rundowns, so that is something you consider. The length for Kansas City might be an issue, but the raw attributes. He didn't run his cone drills at the combine, which I can tell you probably why. On his tape, he's not the bendiest and twitchiest guy in terms of his ankle flexion, his hip flexion, and the bend that he naturally possesses. It's not the best, and you can kind of boost some of those numbers at your pro day. So I assume that's what he's doing. But all in all, he has he's got like an entire backpack full of tools he can bring in to any pass rush situation. Is he a perfectly ready to go defensive end that can come in and play 3 downs immediately in the NFL? No, probably not. Is the risk worth it at 30 to go get him? That's the question the Kansas City Chiefs are going to ask themselves, because I think David Ojabo has shown that kind of level of play where you're bordering on an elite profile as a pass rusher is something that is going to be taken chances on time after time. I don't think that Mafe is quite the athlete that Owe last year and Ojabo this year are, but I do think that there's a lot to like, a lot of tools, traits, and whatever you want to call it. The explosiveness that he displayed at the combine also helps him a lot. So I'm excited to see what he ends up doing in the NFL. I'm looking forward to his pro day, and the combine was an eye-opener for me. Do I think the Chiefs should take him at 30? I'm not quite there yet myself. It's tempting, I'll give you that. His profile projects well to the NFL and what you're looking for. So I do think it would be nice to maybe if he had another extra inch on his arms, but nothing we can do about that now. He's already fully grown in terms of arm length. But fun player. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure, again, that you are tuning in every single time we do these film reviews. There's lots of guys to go through, and I know that the draft isn't for everybody, but you also learn some things here. We're trying to teach how these players grow, how they can grow in the NFL. So I think Mafe is a really, really good player who's going to project well to the NFL as a pass rusher. Hopefully his run defense figures it out. Tomorrow, make sure to tune in to Ryan and Seth for the Chief in the North. Friday at Gooch and Keys. All of those things going out, and then we still have more content. If you guys are interested, once again, I have a Twitch channel now. I'm going to be doing a lot of my normal film watching when I'm gathering clips and things like that for the RGR as well as the Fantasy Football Astronauts. So we're doing lots of content, lots of film. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/inharmsway19 if you want to, and we can watch some more film together. You can kind of see how I prepare and how I go through tape and really look at players. So I hope you guys enjoyed this film review specifically. It was a lot of fun, and you guys have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.